Here, got our schedule pulled up. We're going to talk about linear models and applications today. And project 1 is due today. So when if you have your project 1, just put it in the folder on your table. And then next week, you're going to have your first take-home quiz. So keep that in mind that that's coming up. And then I think we should go through some of these preview exercises together. All right, the width of a rectangle is represented by x, and the length is represented by x plus 200. In general, it's really helpful when something physical is being described to draw it, right? We've got a rectangle. Its width is x, and its length is x plus 200. I would like to write a simplified algebraic expression that models the perimeter. So how do you calculate the perimeter of a rectangle? Yeah, Jarrett? That is not perimeter. That is not perimeter. Add up all the sides. Yeah, length times width is area, which is the second part of the question. Yeah. So the perimeter is you have to add up all the sides. So I'm going to have x plus 200 plus another x plus 200. Does that make sense why I have 2 of each of them? Yeah. And then they wanted you to write it simplified. So actually, I should combine all my terms, and I have 4 x's, and 200 plus 200 is 400. 4x plus 400. Make sense? Okay. Jarrett, what's an algebraic expression that would model the area?
X times x plus 200.
Good. X times x plus 200. The width times the length. Right? And you could leave it like that, or you could distribute the x. Either one would be totally acceptable. Or x squared plus 200x. All right, now we're investing some money. We have $3,000 total. I find it really helps to actually picture yourself holding $3,000, right? So picture yourself with $3,000, and you're going to split it up between 2 accounts. Some of it goes in the 2% account. Some of it goes to the 3.5% account. Okay? So X is going to be the amount that we put in the 2% account. So some amount of money, X, is going into the 2% account, which means how much is left to put in the 3.5% account? Anna? 3,000 minus X. Take your total, subtract what you already put into the 2% account, and what's left goes to the 3% account. Okay, so now I want to think about the amount of interest that I'm going to make in that 3.5% account. So the amount of money I have in there is 3,000 minus X, and you earn interest by taking a percentage of how much money you have in the account. So 3.5%, change that to a decimal, and I do 0.035 times 3,000 minus X. Take 3.5%. The word of typically means multiply. 3.5% of times 3,000 minus X. All right, and then the amount of annual interest that you're going to earn on the 2% account. How much money is in the 2% account? X. So we just take 2%, which is 0.02, of, which means times, X. All right, one more. Your local computer store is having a terrific sale on digital cameras. There's a 40% price deduction, so you get 40% off, right? And you purchase the digital camera for $276. That's the sale price, right? That's the reduced price. What was the camera's price before the reduction, before the sale? So I want to define some expressions and explain what these things mean, right? Okay, so X typically, what I'm going to teach you today in our lesson about word problems is that you should always define your variable based on the question that you're being asked. Okay? So, what was the camera's price before the reduction? That is the question. You currently don't know, so you call it X. Right? That way, when you solve for X, you'll have answered the question. Okay, so X is going to be the camera's price before the reduction, before the sale. When I take 40% of X, what is that calculating? The discount, the amount of the discount. Okay. How much we're going to reduce the price by. Okay. That's okay. Don't worry about it. So now I can write an equation to try to solve for the camera's price before the reduction. So if I take the camera's price before the reduction, subtract the discount amount, that should give me the actual price I paid, the sale price. And then I'll solve for X if I want to. I didn't ask you to, but you could. So what is X minus 0.4X? 0.6X. Yeah, because there's a little like sneaky 1 right there. Yep, so you do 1X minus 0.4X gives you 0.6X. And then divide both sides by 0.6. And what does X come out to? $460. Wow, we must have written this problem several years ago. Digital cameras aren't really that much anymore, I don't think. What? Yeah. Yeah, I guess it depends. I guess there's some really fancy cameras out there. Okay, so today's section is going to deal with models and applications. Many of you know these things as word problems. Okay. One of our goals today is to develop some strategies to help us solve these story opportunities in order to become more confident and competent problem solvers. Okay, so we have a bar graph that shows the average yearly earnings in the US for people with a college education by final degree earned. So the average yearly salary of an American whose final degree is a master's degree is $47,000 less than twice that of an American whose final degree is a bachelor's. Combined, the two people with each of these educational attainments earn $116,000. Find the average salary of Americans with each of these final degrees. This is where you begin, right? You start by identifying the question. Just ignore all the given information and find the question. Use that question to define a variable or variables, depending on if they're asking you for one or two things. So here they're asking me for two things, right? The average salary of Americans with either a master's degree or a bachelor's degree. So we'll define a variable. Let X equal the average salary of American with a bachelor's degree. And then Y will be the average salary of an American with a master's degree. All right, now that you've got your two variables defined, you can try to use those variables to translate all the other given information into equations. So let's just read it like one sentence at a time and see if we can translate. Average yearly salary of an American whose finals degree is a master's degree final degree is a master's degree. What letter represents that? Y. Okay. Then I have the word is, which typically translates to an equal sign. So I have Y equals 49,000 less than twice that of an American whose final degree is a bachelor's degree. Okay. You got it. 2x minus 49,000. Awesome. 49,000 less than means take 49,000 away from twice that of the American whose finals degree is a bachelor's, so that would be 2x. It doesn't really matter, as long as you know that you're working in thousands so that you answer the question correctly at the end. In fact, to be really specific, I'm going to write in thousands. In thousands, so that we'll remember to add the word thousand to our answer. Okay, let's look at the next sentence. Combined, the two people with each of these educational attainments earn $116,000. How does that translate to an equation? You got it. X plus Y equals 116. So I have two equations with two unknowns. There's a couple of methods you could use to solve this. If whichever one you remember is totally fine. They're called substitution and elimination, if that rings any bells, right? So let's do this one by substitution. So for me, for substitution, I always go to the simpler looking equation first. So I'm going to look at x plus y equals 116. Never mind. Nope. I'm not going to do that. So y equals 2x minus 49 is already solved for y, right? I already solved for y here. That's just how it's written. So now I'm going to substitute. Go to the other equation, and wherever I see a y, instead of writing y, I'm going to replace it or substitute it with a 2x minus 49 because they're equivalent, so they can replace each other. So this is going to say x plus, instead of y, I have 2x minus 49 equals 116. And then I can just solve for x. So I get 3x equals 165. And then divide both sides by 3, and you get x equals 55. What does that x equals 55 mean? For what? For a bachelor's degree. Yeah. So we should, once we finish solving, we should need to write a full sentence explaining what the number we got means. So average salary for a BA is $55,000. So what's the average salary if you have a master's degree then? 61,000, because the two have to add up to 116. Yep. Average salary for an MA is 61,000. Keep in mind it's a average for the whole country, so these numbers can vary a lot in different areas of the country. Okay, that was great. Good work. Okay. Oh, I just solved the whole problem and I had this page set up for setting it up. Oh well. All right, so that's the only example. You can move on to the activities. Let me know if you need help.